taking meticulous details of everything that you do. What is business and the line has to be drawn. Are you with me?
Yes.
One half of your desk can be completely meticulous, everything in place, Other half looks like as if the whirlwind. And that's fine. He said, this is my business half. This is me. All my garbage is on this side. But on this side is my business half, and that is office. That's how disciplined you have to be. The rest of the room can look like a tornado has gone through. But if you have put one side and said, this is the office, that becomes virtually your place of worship. Work is worship. So you treat it with that kind of devotion. Are you getting my point?
Yes.
You treat it meticulously, you put everything in place, you put it back afterwards. Treat it with that dedication, with that persistence to detail. Otherwise, no one else will. If you don't take yourself seriously, who's going to take you seriously now? If you don't take yourself seriously, no one is going to take you seriously. Am I right?
Yes.
Why do I tell you to take the effort to get dressed? Why? For the same point. Take yourself seriously. Persistence falls under that. Are you with me? Taking yourself seriously. Every single point has to be redrawn. Lines are redrawn. Are you getting my point?
Yes.
So this is why it's critically important that persistence is something that you do every day. As boring as it gets, it needs to be done. The biggest problem with persistence is don't fall asleep. We do. What we traditionally do, because it's like a guard job. Are you with me? The biggest problem is falling asleep on duty. And that's what we do. The weakest point in people doing this is that everyday thing. That's the weakest link. We can always do something for some time. Are you with me? But when it needs to be maintained for a certain period of time, that's where it fails. Because that dedication has to come from within. That sacrifice, that willingness must come from you. You must love it, what you're doing. You cannot say to yourself, I'll put up with this pain, then you will stop somewhere along the way. This is so boring, so terrible, but I got to do it every day. You will fail somewhere along the way. You will just get up one day and forget to do it, or not want to do it and say, I'll put it off till tomorrow. And there you lost the chain. And the chain is critically important. Anything that needs to be done consistently. Do you get my point?
Yes.
It's like watering your plants, feeding your fish. You get my point? You have an option. Don't feed your fish for a week, what happens? Trick is to stay with one path and get to your goal. Are you with me?
Yes.
Otherwise, you'll be just jumping ship all the time, trying to find the same thing. You're not going to find it in any different place. This ship will also get you there. You jump from this ship to another ship, you carry all your weaknesses with you. Do you get my point?
Yes.
It's going to be no different. No ship is going to get you there any faster. You need to change first. Persistence means every day doing the same thing with passion. Without that passion, you lose it. You get my point?
Yes.
But if you stop today saying there is tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow, you stop. And that's how we all stop. There is no tomorrow. If we can remember that there is no tomorrow, everything we do will be different. Of all the pitfalls, the greatest one is simply believing in tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. Whatever happens, happens now. Do it now. Persistence is simply do it now. The mantra for persistence is do it now. So you do it today, do it again the next day, do it the following day, do it again, and do it again, and do it again, and never slow down. Why? Because there is no tomorrow. You need to believe in that. You must believe in that. That's the difference. That's essentially the difference. The line that I had to cross was where you live right now and where I am today. It's simply that there is no tomorrow. Are you with me?
Yes.
You have to believe that there is no tomorrow.
There is no tomorrow.
And we try again. Persistence has the same problem. When you start believing in doing the same thing every day but without the passion, it becomes repeating your same mistake. There's no growth, is there? It's like the guy who said to me, I'm networking for 17 years. He was doing it for 17 years, but there's no growth. It had become mundane, it had become routine. It stopped thinking. No, it's got to be something that you enjoy doing also. You talk to them. You develop it into a practice. In Sanskrit, it is called sadhana. Anything that is done with regularity and consistency, with passion, is called sadhana. Are you with me? Yes. And any sadhana refines your spirit. It strengthens you. It develops you. Whatever you do with persistence becomes a skill. Whatever you do with persistence becomes a skill. See, what looks effortless causes a great deal of effort at the start. Right? I mean, I was at Wimbledon a week and a half ago. But about a week ago I was in Wimbledon watching the semi-finals between Roger Federer and Djokovic. One of the best games that you could ever hope to see. I was right there on center court. It was an incredible game. For those of you who know or understand tennis, Roger Federer was playing his 7th Wimbledon semi-finals. And that was really the finals. Djokovic was the world number 1. But Federer's return, his serve, his take was so effortless. Djokovic used both hands to serve and both hands to hit. He was throwing all his energy. And you could hear him, and Federer took it like as if he was playing badminton. But if you and I try to do it, you will find the difference. But to make it look so effortless took a great deal of effort initially. But as he did it every day, day after day after day, with passion, with persistence, it became sadhana. It became effortless. He became a master of that stroke. Are you with me?
Yes.
And he became the master of the world he surveyed. He became champion again for the 7th time. So it's not enough to be just persistent. You must have the persistence with the passion. Are you with me?
Yes.
All right so far?
Yes.
There is no tomorrow.
There is no tomorrow.
We do it now.
We do it now.
Wonderful. And the next is purity. You know what purity means? To be pure, right? This refers to intent. Be very clear on your intent. You have to define your intent before you start anything. If you're not clear on your intent, that becomes your pitfall. Do you get my point?
Yes.
Intent has to be defined and recognized. Defined and recognized. Every single time. Always remember why you started. Never forget where you started from. How you started from. Are you with me? Yes. Go back there, redefine, look again. Remember, purity of your intention will drive you. Your thought processes. You must have something that drives you towards where you're going. It cannot be just money itself. It's not like you're going to take this and fill up a bathtub full of cash and jump into it, right? You must have other purposes. What is it you're going to do? Rub yourself with the money? You have something you want to achieve. Your family, perhaps. To serve. Are you with me? To give something back to society. It must have a purpose. And that purpose cannot be divided from what you do every day. It's easy enough to forget why and just get lost into the work of what you're doing every day. But then when you do that, you lose the purity of your intention and you lose the purity of your act. So you cannot every day, which is why when I talk about mana, when I talk about every day, that is what it does. It brings back again. It keeps realigning who you are. It keeps directing you back and keeping your thought processes pure. The minute you lose your impurity, then you start thinking only about the cash. And when you chase money for money itself, you become mercenary. When you chase money for its utility, for its objectivity, for what you can use it for, you become missionary. And there is a massive difference, a whole world between the two things. Are you getting my point?
Yes.
So, if you keep the purity of thought, you can always be a missionary. But when you lose it, you become a mercenary. And you never see a mercenary retire. They always basically give up, give in, or get lost. You get my point?
Yes.
But as a missionary, you have an objective, you have a purpose. So that's what purity is. Are you with me?
Yes.
Are we clear?
Yes.
Then we move on to the next, seventh, practice. Whatever you do must be put into practice. We talked about persistence just now. Persistence is the energy, is the willpower. Practice is the act. Are you with me?
Yes.
Practice makes perfect. Practice is the most important thing of everything that you do. You have to keep doing it over and over and over again. As we talked today about Roger Federer, did we not?
Yes.
That took practice. Do you think he stopped practicing when he became champion?
No.
He probably practiced all the more harder. The minute you lose control, you lose everything. You lose practice, you lose everything. Are you with me?
Yes.
And you have to recognize the value of practice. Because when you're out there in real life, you cannot have the liberty of slowing down. Are you with me?
Yes.
Okay. Pitfall. What's a pitfall? Any ideas on the pitfall of practice? If you're practicing, you practice all the time. Are you with me?
Yes.
When you have, the worst thing that can happen is irregular practice. If you're practicing, it has to be all or nothing. But thinking you're practicing is the worst thing that can happen, because you're halfway there, 1 foot here, 1 foot there. You have to go all the way or nothing at all. When I was with Rudy Hartono, and I asked him how he was champion so many times. And one of the things that he said to me, which I didn't understand the first time he said it to me, I said to him, especially when he won against Panch Gunalan, he was down by so many points. Panch Gunalan was, on the third set, he was 13-5, so he was 2 points short of winning. And from there, he came back, he took the set, and took the third set and won, I said, where was your mindset? How did you come back? When you're 2 points lost, short of losing the game, where did you come back from? He says, to him, he never sees the points. Every single point to him is life or death. And he said, tidak ada apa-apa seperti latihan. So I didn't get that. I said, what does that mean? Nothing like practice. There's no such thing as practice, is what he said, So I said, apa itu tidak ada latihan? He said, tiap-tiap hari macam, every day was sampai mati. Do you get my point? Whether he's playing in Senayan, that's his stadium in Jakarta, with his own teammates, or whether he's in the All England playing against Panch Gunalan, every mark, every point was to death. So there is no such thing as practice. Do you get my point? Yes. Every single day was for him a fight to death. So even when he was practicing in Senayan every day, he fought to death. And that's the earmark of a champion. All right?
Yes.
Excellent. The next, penitence. Penitence is very powerful. It means the act of penitence is the act of where you regret something you have done. It is the first stage or first step that you do before you recognize a mistake. See, the problem is when someone is telling us a mistake, what do we do? Yeah, I know. Already know it before it's told you. I know. So, okay lah, make a mistake lah. Correct or not? Okay lah, sorry. Got any penitence in there, huh?
No.
Penitence is the actual act of regret. The feeling. If you don't have it, then you are not learning anything. And we all, making a mistake is fundamental, It is the most important thing in learning. And everybody makes it. It's impossible for us not to make mistakes. In fact, it's a big mistake to begin anything by thinking we will not make a mistake. Are you getting my point?
Yes.
One of the biggest mistakes we can make is to start life or start the training or start something new by thinking to ourselves, we will not make a mistake. That's absolute garbage. You have to recognize you are going to make a mistake. And if you recognize that, then the next thing to remember is, how do I learn? The only thing you can do is to learn fast. To recognize, to remember, to be penitent. Then you can correct the mistake. Otherwise, you know what you do? We tend to just completely repeat the same old mistakes over and over again. Like that networker who says to me, I'm 17 years in networking. He has perfected his mistakes to the point that he's become an expert in his mistakes. He does it so well that he himself doesn't recognize he's doing a mistake, he's making a mistake anymore. As far as he's concerned, he's doing everything right and no one can tell him anything different. Do you get my point?
Yes.
And therein lies the problem. He's forgotten